Where do you think Black Lives?
Say that one more time. It's kind of cutting in and out on you.
I said, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I said, where do you think the money that from for Black Lives Matter in this kind of period of you think?
So I heard you, but your sound is going in and out, but I did hear you. So I've seen some things about Black Lives Matters donations. I've like there's
Mm,
a lack of transparency, I guess, and I have heard about it. I'm not the most educated on it. I have heard about it going towards like Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden and just the DNC in general, which is, that's not the agenda. But I don't know the truth behind it, and
hmm
I also don't like the misinformation, and I don't like to slander any black movement until, you know. So you may be far more educated on that
mm,
than myself.
well, I just wanted to ask you because uh, be interested to get your opinion on it. But I figure that once a movement or a black movement becomes popular, it is a black power movement. You understand?
Right.
Have the Democrats taking a knee where they saying, please give us our money." Nike, who came out in 20 when Michael Brown was murdered, and they off police. Now they're giving hundreds of dollars more. And I figure that all these companies are giving dollars to Black Lives Matter. I do that they are paying for Democratic Party elect campaigns so that they can influence policy. There's essentially are piggybacking to use it as a vehicle for uh, because it shouldn't be that these things are all of a sudden not racist. You don't do that, right? So I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Bullshit person. Some evidence to the contrary, I think is bullshit. Democrats turn up. All the don't turn up in the hood, and then the rest of the time for the next 3, 4 years, and then they'll come back. And every single time, I don't buy bullshit.
Man, I'm on that same wave as you. I definitely am on the same page with that. And I haven't really spoken up about it because, I don't want to run their name through the dirt or anything. So, but I definitely agree with you for sure. Oh, they kicked him off. Man, they really own that. Here, let me try to get bro back on him. I think he knows his connection is messed up. Let me see. Where you at? Where you at? Let's see if bro can hop on here real quick. But yeah, I think if y'all don't know what he was talking about, he was referring to Black Lives Matter donations and where they are going. Let me see. I'm typing you in here, bro. If you're watching this, try to get you back on here. You're not even popping up when I type your name in. That's crazy how they rocking with you. Let me see. Man, let me see. Hey, bro, if you watching this, just comment so I can get you back in here. But, you know, just the other day in Minneapolis, there was a shooting that I was in. I know 5 people that were shot. At first, I didn't know if I knew anybody that was shot. All I knew was that The person on the left of me got shot, person behind me got shot, and one person died. Come to find out, I actually knew a girl that I used to fuck with got shot in her leg. Oh, here we go. And a couple other people, and I was honestly astonished and surprised that I didn't get shot. But yo, people were saying they couldn't really hear you. I could hear you, but it was cutting in and out.
It is somebody who monitors my is messing with the mic right now.
Wow.
When I'm in and I'm speaking, it's going. It's like noise.
Exactly. I've
That's
seen
somebody from.
it happen on your live before.
Yeah.
Man, where you at? Thailand?
Yeah, I'm still in Thailand. What's happening about you getting shot? Get strapped.
What's happening in Minneapolis right now?
I'm saying you need to get a strap.
I need you to I know you were in the military, bro. Teach me how to get tactical real quick.
It's simple. Just get a 9mm and go to the gun range and you'll be fine.
Basically, that's it. That's the standard move for sure. I did a martial art for 10 years, so I wish more people did so they knew what they were capable of and knew how the human body works better and didn't resort straight to guns. But, I'm gonna have to for sure, the way the current climate is and just the way my city's rocking. So got to.
Yeah. Strap up because the people who control the world right now, they've got lots of guns. Lots
No
and
cap.
lots of guns.
That's facts. That's facts.
So what? People was just shooting at you? What do you mean?
So there's a place, if anybody on here that's watching is from Minneapolis or been to Minneapolis, you've been to Uptown, they probably know this location. It's called Hoban. It's like a Korean barbecue spot, but they really are accepting of like minority cultures. So it's probably like 10% white people in there. The rest is like black, Hispanic, Asian. It's like a little kick it spot. It's not a club, but it almost feels like it. You know what I mean? So Hoban has been shot at before, but never shot up. Mind you, it was the night after Juneteenth, and Juneteenth was peaceful. People shot in the air, but it was pretty much all peaceful except some little. There was actually a shooting Juneteenth that I was at. I was right next to dude, maybe 30 feet away. That was in a different area though, completely separate issue. So I'm in Hoban and I'm kicking it. And there's fireworks going nuts. The police got the whole area blocked off. It's basically a huge block party. And sometimes you might mistake a firework or sometimes you might mistake a gunshot for either one or the other. So one of them goes off, rah! I'm like, oh, that's a firework. And then another one, I'm like, no, that's not a firework. And then boom, people start getting shot. I'm on the ground. I was in a chair, now I'm on the ground. Bro, I'm crawling on the ground. I try to get up once. The person I try to get up next to, boom, shot in his ass. So I stay low. Bro, there was only 50 people there, max 50. Bro, when I tell you 12 people got shot out of 50, people were getting hit up,
Wow.
bro. 12 out of 50, that's almost a quarter of the people there. So I stayed on the ground. I'm scrambling. People stepping on my head. People getting shot, falling over me. But, 100% I thought, all right, you about to get shot. Just brace for it. You know the feeling? So
yeah,
I scrambled out. I got to the back kitchen. We run out the kitchen. It's nuts, bro.
Who was it? Was it black people, white supremacists, police, people who was dressed as black people? Who was it?
So there is no definitive answer, but it's 95% chance it was just us, bro. It was us. We did it to ourselves.
Wow.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, this is the in the 80s in England, the police and the UK government, they started bringing really, really crazy criminals from Jamaica to the UK, and they called them yardies. They came there so that they could kill people who they didn't like, activists, so on and so forth, and then they deport them back to Jamaica. So they will pay one to kill us, just to say that it was one of us that did it. You understand?
100%.
Like, all right, this is my when the gangs first started, they first started as in black gangs. They first started to protect the hood from the police. Now, if you look at what the gangs are doing during this period of time, they ain't protecting anything, and
Man,
they ain't out here really. They ain't out here really saying anything.
bro,
So it makes me
nothing,
think
bro.
that they're just. I feel like they're just controlled opposition, the same as ISIS, the same as Al Shabaab, the same as Boko Haram, the same as Al Qaeda, but they're in the
All that,
hoods and they're
all that.
controlled opposition. I feel like they are. I feel like they're working for the CIA. That's what I feel
Man,
like.
I
That's
swear to God. And I see
they
you
ain't.
post talking about that all the time. You said, where are the gangs? Where are the gangs at? All y'all talk about is guns and shooting shit. Where are y'all at? Where, bro? And the Midwest, you probably been to the Midwest of America, you know, Chicago, Minneapolis, Milwaukee. We have a lot of gangs, bro. Where are y'all at? I could give you some more details,
Mm-hmm.
bro. I could give you a couple more details regarding the George Floyd Memorial. This
Yeah,
might
tell
be a
me.
little dangerous detail to give you though, but I'm open.
Just
What's that?
yeah, just tell me. I
You
said,
know,
just tell
so
me whatever.
I'm from 3 blocks away from where George Floyd died at. I'm from 3 blocks away, bro. I used to go to that corner store every day. The dude that called the police on George Floyd, you know, I used to get suspended in school all the time, stealing MacBooks, stealing phones, whatever. I would steal these devices and go straight to that store that called the police on George Floyd, and I would sell them right to the exact dude that called the police on George Floyd. That's a whole nother topic. But point is, I grew up 3 blocks away from there. That's an all blood area. Not like it used to be in the early
Mm.
2000s when gang banging was like popular and fun and shit. But nonetheless, that's still their zone. So I guess rightfully so. After about 2 to 3 weeks of that George Floyd area, bro, we got to bring you out low key so you can see what it's like. I mean, Al Jazeera was there, New York Times, BBC, everyone. It was mind blowing, bro. The amount of peace. I'm vegan myself, bro. When I tell you there's fruit
Mm.
lining the streets, the streets of the slums, just fruits, squashes, watermelon, just lining the street. It was like if I just made it up and told you I couldn't even make it up. It's insane. But point is, after about 2 to 3 weeks of the barbecues, of the festivities, of the voter registration, of all this organization and structure, the gang in that area, the Bloods, they kind of leaned on them and pressed them like, "Yo, we want our shit back." And then there was actually some shootings at night, you know. But from light to dark, day to night, the dynamic changed completely. But man, some days there'd be 12,000 people there, bro. Some days it would rain hard as hell, and there's still 3,000 people there. Nothing would stop. It was mind blowing, bro. But just
Wow.
the Bloods did come in and like lean on them and be like, yo, basically extorted them, like, yo, y'all got to pay us if y'all want to be here, basically. And that's a topic that I've been thinking about lately. Just like you said, what are they called? Yardies?
Yeah.
We gotta find, because I definitely, that's a real thing. But I feel like at the same time, there is just people in our community that don't give a fuck, bro. They not for the cause. Their awareness is so limited. They don't know what's going on. They could care less. They're just in it for their self, and they ruin it for
I
the
mean,
rest of the people that are really trying to make change. And we got to hold them accountable. We got to have some kind of intervention or some kind of thing set up to where, I don't even know what it would be, but we can't have them ruin this for us, for real.
mm, let me
I'm sure you got some more
give
insight
you an
on that and
example.
experience with that.
Are you familiar with the Grenfell Tower fire that
Nah,
happened in the UK in 2017?
teach me.
Okay, so basically, the government were involved with creating and allowing a tower full of people in an area called Latimer in London to burn down, and 72 people died. Um, Mainly black, mainly Muslim, uh, East, North, uh, 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 yeah, basically it was like Somalis, Ethiopians, Eritreans, Sudanese, Lebanese, people all burned and died, right? And there were survivors of the tower fire. Not everybody in the tower fire died. But the government, they basically just didn't do what they were supposed to do. They didn't provide the support they were supposed to provide. And so the people just self-organized. And there were thousands of packages of food and supplies coming into the area so that the survivors who weren't being looked after properly and weren't being, because it was social housing, so they were supposed to be put into hotels. They weren't being looked after properly. And so the people just started to self-organize. And then the Red Cross and a few other charities came and started taking boxes off the street. So these are donations that people have given. And then these NGOs came up and started taking these boxes off the street and taking them to a warehouse and saying they were redistributing them. So they were stealing them, right? But the people realized that it was, you know, a collusion because for a start, the tower is called Grenfell Tower, which was named after Colonel Grenfell, which was one of the colonels involved in the colonization of Africa in 1880, I think, 1885. And the fire brigade came to do a check on the tower like a few days before, and there were signs in the walkways saying, in event of a fire, stay inside of your room, right? Now, this is the idea that, you know, the fire doors would seal and you would be fine. But there comes a point where it's like, why is this huge tower got no elevator? So everybody's got to walk up and down. And the gas lines were engineered going through the center of the stairwell. So any fire, it was just, you know, prone to go up. And then you had the fire brigade come and they were trying to get people out, but then the police came and stopped people getting to the tower. And then they said, because it was like 5 minutes from my house. I was in Uganda at the time, but you know, lots of my friends were, you know, there. And they basically said the police were shouting to people to stay in the tower, so to let them burn, basically. And a lot of people died because of it. But there was a self-organization that came out of it that was so beautiful, because people expected, especially like the mainstream media, they expected people to riot, to destroy the area, and people just self-organized. They just came together and just like really, it was beautiful to see. The government, the whole reason why it happened was because there was cladding on the building, which wasn't fireproof. It was flammable. It should have been fireproof, but to save money, they didn't.
When did they build
have the fireproof one? It would only have cost like a long time ago. But they were supposed to do renovations on it to make it. Well, that's why the fire brigade came to do a check. But they basically said, yeah, you know, it's fine, but it wasn't fine. And there's a few things that I can't exactly remember all of the things, but definitely the government were involved with it, because the rich people in the area were the ones that wanted to have the plastic cladding put on the outside of it, because they said that it didn't look good from their big people houses. Because in England, it's a bit different to in America, because rich people and people who are financially oppressed will live right side by side each other, right on the same street in this area. Kensington and Chelsea, which is the borough of the royal family in the UK, is the richest and the poorest area in close proximity to each other in the whole of the UK.
At the same time, right?
So it's like you literally have an $8 million townhouse, and then on the same street you have like a projects with people who can't even afford to pay rent on the same street.
How does that dynamic
So it's crazy,
work?
Right? Well, I mean, the area, it was a slum, but then it got gentrified, as all areas do. But
Right.
essentially, the same people who own that area are the same people who own slaves in the Caribbean.
Right.
So it's like, you know, they want their slaves to stay slaves. And now with lots of African migrants coming in from different countries because of problems in their own country, they just get the worst kind of treatment, almost get treated like refugees in a country that they've been accepted into. And, you know, people came in the 80s because of the wars. These are not just first generation people. These are second generation, some third generation. You know, some Jamaican mother and daughter died. Like, it was crazy. But while I'm saying all this to say, when this happened and you was reflecting on the self-organization that was happening, that self-organization needs to continue, because just because things go back to normal, it doesn't mean that things are all right. So when you have, you know, people you're saying who aren't for the cause, don't care about it, it might be for you to be like, all right, cool, I do care about it. I know other people who do care about it. I'm going to organize them. You've started a not-for-profit, create a fund, a collective fund, and use that fund to train people, to buy equipment, to feed people, etc., etc. So, like, for instance, if you are giving people food packages, then you can also educate those people. You can also create a newsletter, because look at social media. Social media is not the best way to share information when it's being censored all the time. So if you have your own, so what kept the Black Panthers running was actually the newspaper
Yeah,
that they were giving out,
my grandma used
right?
to write for it.
Right, exactly. So is your grandma still alive?
Yeah, she is, but it's crazy. My grandma's actually white, and my grandma wrote for it. My grandpa was a Black Panther, but my grandma was like the only white person writing for the paper, I guess.
Yeah, but your grandma can still write for it now. That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't mean you don't need Huey P. You don't need
Facts.
Stokely Carmichael. You don't need to ask permission to self-organize. You just self-organize because it's necessary. So in these times, when you know that the gangs are on some fuck shit, and you've got a fund where, you know, you have 20 people, look at all of the ex-military people that there are who are Black. They would train you happily. They would train you. A lot of them ain't doing nothing but working in Walmart and shit. You would be like, all right, cool. This is your 9 to 5 job, and this is your 5 to 9 job. Come and police the neighborhood. That type of self-organization is not something you have to ask permission for. It's not
Yep.
something that there's a manuscript for. There's something that you just know that you have to do. So you do it, and that's it. Like, I was doing self-organization in London with some of the man them. I'm not going to go into what I was doing exactly, but I was training up 50 man. Like, you should, if you feel like there's a necessity for it, you know, if you've got 20 trained brothers and sisters who strapped up, the gangs can't say or do shit because the gangs aren't organized.
That part. That part. And in that
So,
zone where we were self-organized like that, there is actually about 10 armed guards. So like 2 at each little zone. And I mean, like, really strapped up. Like, it looked like it's Fallujah or something. There's also a nursing tent. One thing that was crazy about that is, just from being in that area, you know, you see a group of dudes just kicking it on the corner, and you might want to stay away from them. But it's like you got to unlearn and relearn. So you see them, and then you like, oh, wow, it's love, it's peace. It was one of the most peaceful places you could ever be. You know, I wish I could paint a more accurate depiction. But then we just got to relearn. And like you initially came on here saying just self-love.
Self-love and self-organized. There's a movie you should watch called The Spook That Sat Beside the Door.
The Spook That Sat Beside the Door. I actually think I might have watched that. I was an African American studies major, and I believe we may have seen that.
Yeah, it's about the CIA operative that went back and organized the hood.
Yeah, and how they implemented all the bullshit that's in there now. I was like 18 though when I saw it. I gotta revisit that joint for sure.
Yeah, no, it's a real film about rebellion. That's why it was banned for 40 years. When it came out, and it was banned like the next week that it came out, and it wasn't released for 40 years again, as in it wasn't allowed to be viewed. So there was that. Let me just address this quickly, because I'm sending love to all the people in Minnesota and in Minneapolis. The last time I was actually there was this time, no, actually a month from now, last year. I was there at an event called South Sudan Unite that my brother Luo Deng organized. For all the people in here who are saying And I addressed this, and I addressed this a few times. But for all the people in here who are saying that I am anti-Somali and I'm anti-Islam, I'm not anti-Somali, of course not, and I'm not anti-Islam. My points that I made were that when I said to the sister, you're not you're not black, you're Somali, it was insensitive because of all the Black Lives Matter stuff that's been going on. But at the same time, before white people came around, you were never black. You were Somali, you were Dir, you were Isak, you had a people, you had an identity before you were just black. Black doesn't tell me what you are, it just tells me what you are not. So if you are African, be proud of being African. If you are African in Africa, tell me where you're from. If you are the diaspora, then yes, obviously you're black, because black is a political term. But generally speaking, if you look at the dictionary's definition of black, it just means dead. So yes, I'll say that I'm black, but generally speaking, I actually come from a people, and the people have a history and a culture and a heritage. So that was the one thing. That was one level of understanding. And the other thing is, I did not liken Bin Laden to the Hajj and the pilgrimage. Misquote me, because I said that the Bin Laden family reconstructed the